Hey, what's up, everyone? This is Jason Tucker. This is episode number 98. Today we're going to be talking about everything you need to know to get started doing a WordPress meetup. Let's go around the room real quick and get everyone introduced. We're going to start in alphabetical order with Carol.
Hi, I'm Carol Stambaugh. I am from Arizona, and I lead the Arizona WordPress meetup group.
Very cool. How about you, Chris?
My name is Chris Lema, and I run the North County San Diego WordPress meetup group.
Nice. How about you, David?
I'm David Bisset from Fort Lauderdale. I run 2 WordPress meetups in South Florida, and I run WordCamp Miami.
How about you, George?
I am George Stefanis. I run the WordPress Lancaster, Pennsylvania meetup group, and as a hobby, I like making people seasick.
How about you, James?
My name is James Laws, co-founder of WP Ninjas, creators of Ninja Forums, and the recent starter of the Chattanooga area meetup.
Awesome.
Yay!
Natalie.
Hi, I'm Natalie MacLees, and I run the SoCal WordPress meetup, which is the meetup for Los Angeles, and I'm also lead organizer for WordCamp LA.
Very cool. Say, what's up?
Hi, I'm Say, and I'm totally not texting right now. Doing WordPress stuff, including theoretically, I'm in the meetup organizer, I guess, for WordPress and for small businesses here in Long Beach. And I'm really excited about this topic because the whole successful part is really, key part of the running.
It's to be determined. We'll see. So how about you, Steve?
Successful are very different things. Steve?
I'm Steve Zangen. I'm the founder of Zeek Interactive, and I run the OC WordPress meetup.
Verious, tell us about yourself.
Hi, I'm Verious Smith, and I am the founder of Phil Veracity Design, and I organize the Inland Empire WordPress meetup group.
Awesome. So we've got a lot of organizers here.
And you're Jason Tucker?
Right.
Yeah, I'm Jason Tucker. I don't organize anything except for this thing. So yeah, you can find me Jason Tucker on Twitter and WPmedia.pro. I always forget.
He organizes us.
Yeah, I do.
Which is impossible.
Organizes the digital version of like every meetup ever.
He herds cats.
Yeah.
I would say I heard cats, but last time I said that, I got a request in the mail from Chris to pay him $10, so I'm not saying that.
That was unrelated.
It was. That's when we had very little views. So let's talk a little bit about starting a WordPress meetup. How does that all work? I've never set one up. I'm curious how you guys have gone through and set them up. Who started the most recent one? Maybe we can talk about the most recent way in which you can do it. I think Steve had to do it via email or text or something way back when, right?
We chiseled it in stone.
It was chisels for Steve, but James...
Eventually we discovered papyrus.
That's like a double joke.
And then all the typo files cried.
Right.
That's like a paper joke and a font joke. All
Right, and then we moved into the Comic Sans. I got it. We got
and
it. All right.
at the same time.
James, did you start yours recently?
Yeah, about I would say back in WordCamp Atlanta, actually, is where I was at when we set it up.
And
How did you do that?
Yes.
Well, that's a good question. We had been trying to set it up for a couple of years and just couldn't. They kept saying they would get with us to set it all up, and didn't happen. And so
Who is they?
The proverbial they.
Who is they?
She changed her name.
Meetup.com just wouldn't let you fill in the form?
Well, you can to do an official.
Hey,
to
you
do
have
an
not
official,
seen the user experience on that form. That is hard to get through, man.
So,
The user experience on Meetup altogether is terrible.
when you set up a meetup officially with WordPress to do a WordPress meetup, they actually like to do the setup themselves now and then invite you to that as an organizer.
Oh, really?
So that's the way they did it with us.
So what's the benefits of that?
Of WordPress meetups. There are official WordPress meetups that are not necessarily run through the foundation, but the meetup dues are paid through the foundation, and then you have certain rules and things that you have to agree to when you run those. And I think the key thing is they can remove the main organizer at any time, right? That's kind of the main control factor
Well,
there.
the basic idea of that is that
That's a good thing I'm not registered.
should be able that anyone in the group should be able to propose a meetup. It shouldn't be only
That's
the
true.
organizers that can
With
make
anarchy! What WP anarchy?
So I think if I understand it correctly, I think the effort or the intention of the foundation to get involved with meetups is more a function of WordCamps. So I have never gotten the sense that they're actually trying to remove or replace organizers of meetups, but it's more that there are a lot of different people who ask to bring a WordCamp to their town, and one of the first things the foundation will respond with is, hey, before you start trying to spin up a WordCamp, why don't you spin up a meetup? And so the foundation will now cover the cost for that meetup. There's a yearly fee with meetup.com, and they'll help you get that organized so that you can run a meetup, and then eventually, if you want, you can run a WordCamp. But there are several of us that run a meetup through meetup.com that those meetups aren't actually attached to the foundation's main account, meaning we pay the yearly fee, which is not very much, and we haven't needed to do any kind of interview to make sure that we're okay to run a meetup, right? So I think it comes out of a different dynamic. Like I don't think you have to go get approval to start a meetup.
No, you don't. In fact, I spoke with Andrea about that. We were the ones in South Florida were independent, and we actually joined with the
Foundation.
plan, the foundation plan, and I think it's more about quality control because there's a lot of meetups that get started that fizzle out, or the organizers move, and so forth. So, in order to have more efficient WordCamps, like Chris said, you need to have an efficient meetup. And I can speak from experience from talking to a lot of people a couple of years ago. Meetups would start up, they would die out, or meetups would not have appropriate topics or promotional topics and so forth. So this kind of gives
meetups would be organized by folks that would only basically use it as a recruiting ground for clients instead of actually opening up.
People would be charged.
Which Terry Dills had an issue with.
We've had an issue with that. We had a meetup that started up here in Arizona, and he was all about affiliate marketing. And he would even lock the door. And I think it had to do with the way that their office space was, but still, this guy would get all these people to come in and say he was going to teach them WordPress, but then in reality, he was trying to sell them all these affiliate links so that he could make money off the affiliate. So I think there's a lot of cheesy stuff that happens like that, and I really think the foundation is trying to make sure that kind of stuff does not happen.
Exactly.
It's a good segue. Let's talk about the right reasons to start a meetup for a moment.
So it's not to make money.
It's not?
Right?
I'm out of here.
Yeah.
I've succeeded in that department.
I quit.
Yeah.
Continue.
So I know there are meetups that do have that do charge something. Often where I've heard that they're charging, it's tied to supplying pizza or beer or something else. I have experienced, like Carol was talking about, when I first moved down here to San Diego, I experienced one of those meetups where not only did you have to pay, but then there was a roll sheet, and if you weren't on the roll, they asked you to get out of your seat and go out, and they closed the door, and it was locked, and then you're thinking, where'd this money go? And there's only one bag of chips, and you're like, this is just horrible, right? Like the whole thing was.
Chips, that's really the question.
Everything was horrible. So, at that point, you're kind of like, okay, let's just go. Let's start a new one, right? Let's start one in. That's why I started one in North County, because I'm like, it's free. We provide pizza for folks. There are many hosting companies and WordPress product companies that will often sponsor. And so that's another way to do it, but it's you don't, at least one of them, I know, Steve, you guys have many other reasons, but at least one of them is you're not doing this to make money. You're doing this as another way to give back to the community.
Absolutely, and that should be your main motivation, to give back to the community. If you start your meetup based on that foundation, you're going to succeed. That should be your motivation to start the meetup. And if you're starting it for any other purpose, to drive business or to charge or to make money, it will fail. I promise you.
Just as an FYI, when the foundation pays for your meetup, you're not able to charge even your attendees. So it's forcibly free. So if you do want to pay for food, you can do it on the honor system, and so far it's worked for us.
Now, I believe the foundation will help with some of that, though. Don't they have some money that they will give to some of those?
Yeah, if you have to pay
Maybe.
for a venue or something like that, they'll help you out, because we have a tough time getting free venues sometimes.
So let's talk about charging versus free for a moment. And I found that if you're charging anything, there's a barrier to entry right there. If you're charging $1, there's a barrier for entry. It's psychological. So you're going to limit your attendance if you charge. So if you can find a way to do it for free.
It depends on your area. I've seen.
Stop.
And also, one of the most
it depends.
I've found when getting a meetup going is that you need to accept the fact that finding speakers is like pulling teeth. So you're going to wind up speaking at half of your first year's meetups yourself.
I haven't found that.
I would like to speak to that point.
I haven't found that finding speakers is like pulling teeth. I
No,
think
it's pretty.
Once you're an established
It
meetup,
can be then.
No, I found.
My-
I found right from day one, I went right to the audience and said, listen, whoever wants to speak, whoever wants to get up and talk, you're welcome to do it. I want people to
So I will
be that it's really kind of difficult to find good speakers.
I think the other dynamic has to do with where you're located, right? So I have talked with folks that spun up meetups in other places where it is pulling teeth to find speakers, right? And so they have to alternate between panels and lightning talks, because some people only speak for 5 minutes. They have to do. I mean, they can't pull 12 people to do lectures, right? In a year. And yet, in Southern California, I think we're very, very fortunate to have a very active. We have an active community, so we have not only several meetups, but I mean, we can fill those meetups with talks all day long. But I will say this: the Advanced WordPress meetup in downtown San Diego doesn't have lectures. They literally, I mean, and it started with a table with 12 people. We started by just having people plug in their computer and doing show and tell. Like, here's what I'm working on, and here's what I'm stuck on. Here's what I'm working on. Here's what I'm stuck on. And that was their meetup, and it didn't even have a lecture, right? So I think you can craft your meetup to make sense in your community. I don't think it always has to be the lecture format.
To that point, I know that Alex started up the Pasadena WordPress meetup, Alex Vasquez did, and there are already a bazillion in SoCal. There's, the SoCal meetup, there's the OC meetup, and all these other meetups. So when he started up his meetup, he was trying to do something different, and we actually just had a conversation about this, and he is instead doing more of like a round table where people bring things up, kind of what you were talking about there, Chris, and people bring things up and discuss it and help each other and that sort of a thing. And that the formatting was actually part of the reason that I haven't been super active in organizing the group that I have on Meetup, and that is because I just can't put together every month or even every 2 months a little slate of speakers. I just don't have the bandwidth to do that. But in talking with Alex, I was like, that's a great idea, because then if you just get people together just to kind of have the conversation, if you're not trying to do something, that's more presenty each time, it's a little less work on the organizer side. So
yeah,
that's
also
what I'm going to do.
You said something interesting earlier, though. You said it was good to find. You said it was hard to find good speakers, right?
I think that was more catty than interesting, but whatever.
I understand that, but if you don't have good speakers, develop them. That's what I've done in my community. Is I've encouraged people to get up and speak, and they might not be good speakers on their first tryout. That's okay. Have them get up and have a conversation with the audience with a problem that they're having, and that just turns into a talk.
That's how you get speakers from your meetups.
Yep, exactly.
One of the most successful meetups that we did is we did an unconference meetup, very much like an unconference, like what you've seen. I came in, we had 5 different topics. We spent 15 minutes at the beginning, and we voted with Post-it notes who has a topic, and then we broke up into 5 different groups, and that was the most successful meetup. I did nothing. I had no speakers. It was so wonderful.
Unconferences are.
Girl, I've been doing that for years.
No, unconferences like a bar camp are really. It's a really good format.
Occasionally, we also Skype in speakers that are planned ahead of time too, and that's really great because sometimes you just don't have your meetup people looking for a topic, that just doesn't exist knowledge-wise. So every once in a while we Skype people in for a half
I mean,
hour or
locally
an hour.
it doesn't exist knowledge-wise. You don't have the
Right,
local,
right. You don't have a
local
local
expertise.
And there's plenty of people that are promoting their plugins, their themes, just their services that are happy to speak over Skype.
Now, one of the things we do at ours is we try not to have product companies, theme companies, plugin companies, whatever, do their own presentation, their own promo, because it comes across salesy. So I am all for having a member of the community come and say, let me show you what I did with Gravity Forms, but I won't spin up a video of Carl coming in to talk about how awesome Gravity Forms is, because the net result of that is it comes across as a sales pitch. And the moment you let that in the door, right, everybody and their brother is ready for their sales pitch, right? So we make it clear, it's, you know, we don't do pitches, but on top of that we make it clear that the content of the meetup is very, very dedicated to WordPress and WordPress specifically. So there's a lot of meetups in our area. I have a buddy that runs the PHP one and another one that runs another open source project, and we're like, look, I won't step on your toes and you don't step on ours, and so let's just keep them separate. So someone will come in and say, I want to do SEO, or I want to do, you know, how to use affiliate marketing right in your blog, or how to do it. And if it really doesn't come at it well from WordPress, we just say no, because if not, it's pitch day all day long.
Right.
Well,
I agree.
It's as well with like having people want to come in and speak, and yet they want to give a slant to where they're pitching. And so, like the core of what I believe that, you know, it would be for each meetup that we have is, it's just the spirit of sharing. You know, the open source community of WordPress allows for each one of us to come in and be able to share about the technology freely, and, you know, not necessarily trying to pitch a service or a product or anything like that. And so that's normally kind of the atmosphere of what we have at our meetup group.
You know, we've had something interesting. Sorry, we've had something interesting happen. Whenever our membership got so large, we've had these random sponsors who want to come in, like a realtor. We had a real estate agent want to come in and do a sponsorship for our meetup group. I mean, we have over 1,000 members in our meetup group, so obviously they're going to meetup and they're looking to see who has the biggest meetups. And we won't let them do that. They have to be specific to WordPress to be able to be a part of our meetup.
Look, it's not the size of the meetup that counts, okay?
Actually, speaking of size of meetups, I'm assuming, like, when you're starting this, each of you have started your meetups. They didn't immediately 40, 50, 100 people. How did you guys get, you know, promote your meetup, maybe even beyond meetup, the website?
Well, one of the big tips is other local meetups that are kind of related to you. So how one of the ones in Miami grew is that we went to the PHP, we went to the front-end developers, and we just basically said, we stood up and said, hey, we have a WordPress meetup, come. That was a couple of years ago, and now half of the people that come aren't even directly WordPress related usually. So.
All right, okay.
That's cool.
We've also done joint meetups with other groups. Like, we have a PHP group that's pretty active, and we have done a joint meetup with them, and we've done a joint meetup with like a JavaScript group as well.
A joint meetup. Huh?
I want to mirror something everybody's saying.
I think I want to go to that meetup.
Go to a Drupal meetup.
I want to mirror something everybody's saying here is what's helping everybody succeed is this collaborative process. And the opposite of that, I have heard towns where meetups actually compete. Right, and they are actually competing with each other for
meetups compete,
and that always ends badly for both meetups that are in that competition.
You know what would be awesome? A reality show of WordPress meetups.
Don't engage in that, and don't listen to say.
That would be awesome. That would be the most scintillating television ever. It'd be like,
look, and I say that because a lot of the a few of the local meetups here have stemmed out of my meetup, and I encourage that. A couple of the organizers come to me and said, I want to start a meetup in my town. Absolutely, do it. The more meetups, the better.
Right.
Yeah.
And that makes your WordCamp stronger, believe me. If you have meetups, your WordCamps never work.
Plus, Steve is like the godfather of all of our meetups now, so he's like become when they're like children of the meetup.
Call the performance of favor or a service.
I keep trying to get out, and they keep pulling me back in.
I have a plugin you can't refuse.
Bring the cannoli.
How many of you guys stream your meetups?
Wait, does that make Chris our consigliere?
Jason, what was that?
How many of you guys stream your meetups?
Stream your meetups.
Oh, wait.
No, I dream about my meetups all the time.
Yeah.
Dreams or nightmares?
Wait,
No,
let's rephrase
stream.
it. How many people have Jason streaming their meetup, which is really the
I know.
question that we're asking here. Let's be honest.
I stream my meetups, but actually that wasn't my idea. That all came from Jason. That was his doing.
Yeah, Jason came to our meetup one time and did a stream, but it was only once.
I think we need a better term
He's
for that.
never done it in mine, so
A
whatever.
better term than how many people stream your meetups?
Yeah.
How many
Jason's
people-
going to a bunch of meetups and streaming. You know, I don't know if that really sounds quite
So
accurate.
so none of
What's a better term for that?
Most of you
How many
guys
people
don't
have a
do
drip
video streaming?
campaign?
So
I don't
Jason, in ours in San Diego, I got a little camera that automatically connects to Ustream, and so I've tasked Brad, my co-host, to start playing with it and setting up a Ustream account so we can do it, but we haven't actually streamed one yet.
Now, Chris, why are you using Ustream rather than the Google Hangout?
This particular camera has a one-touch. Once you connect it to Wi-Fi, it has a one-touch recording and automatic integration with Ustream. So the only reason was because the camera had that tool, but it automatically, you hit start, it automatically goes, it creates the recording on the channel and then starts recording when it's done, it ends it, closes it off, and you're like, wow, you didn't have to do anything. So
it'd be costly for Chris to fly me down. That's the deal.
There's a live
You're
stream.
gonna fly down to San Diego?
Come on, it's on my rider.
What's your bicycle?
So when I started my meetup, what happened is I didn't like that, which is probably why I'm okay with it kind of being dormant, is because I actually I joined various meetups online, including OC Meetup and whatnot, and then I joined one that was based in Long Beach, and then the organizer of that one went away, and so I kept getting these emails that was like, your meetup group is going to disappear in 5 seconds if you don't click this button right now. And there was like a lot of pressure. And there were like, 100 people in the meetup. And I was like, well, Long Beach meetup, whatever. And so I just kind of took it over. And I've had a meetup for it, but I haven't really, been doing anything. So that's another way that you can come about it, is you can join a meetup and then just
take it over.
Get pressured into it by high pressure emails, basically.
That's
Just
how
be
I
the
got
board of
mine.
meetups.
actually,
See?
I
It
think
worked for Natalie too. We're susceptible to pressure.
I think that's a really good thing to think about. So that's exactly what I did for the North County one.
Mhm.
It was a dormant San Diego downtown one that the guys that were running it had really stopped putting energy into it, and they really loved their community. They really loved that meetup group, and they asked me, instead of starting a new one from scratch, would you take this one on? Can we write a letter to the membership and say, hey, he's going to start it, but it's going to be in North County instead of downtown, but can we keep this group rather than just spinning up a new one and letting this one live there kind of dormant with no activity? And it's a fantastic way to do it, because A, you start with a list of people so that you can immediately say, hey, is this interesting? But B, you don't leave a whole bunch of people with a bad taste in their mouth like, oh, I started this thing and I liked it, and then they just fell off the face of the planet, right? You really want to try and bring those back around and keep them running.
I think in Arizona we may do it a little differently than a lot of the SoCal. I think you guys have individual meetup groups for each one. We have a large meetup group for the entire valley, and we have satellite locations that go in 4 different areas across the valley. So I think technically, like, we would really be 4 different meetups if we were the way that SoCal does it. We've actually done this because it's kind of cool that one person can belong to the meetup and they can see, oh, well, this meetup has this topics that's different, and they can go to a meetup every single week of the month because we have all these different satellite locations. Am I right about that?
Yeah, that's what Steve goes to a meetup every week.
No, Natalie goes to a meetup every week. Let's be clear here. Natalie goes to a meetup like 3 times a week. I am in shock and awe of her meetup schedule. It's crazy. I don't even know how you have the time to do that, but you must learn a lot.
The reason Suzette's not on the show right now is because she's probably at a meetup.
She is.
No, she's flying back from New York City.
Somebody mentioned earlier. Somebody mentioned earlier in the water cooler about a space, about securing a space, and that is really the key to a meetup. It is difficult, and having that consistent space where you meet every month or meet, and having that place is really, really important.
I think it's also important to set a date, 2nd Thursday of the month, 3rd Thursday of the month, and not stray from that.
Yeah, consistency is.
Oh my God, schedules.
Yes. If you ever say I'll do it when I have time, that's a death sentence.
Yeah. No, my
that's my problem.
My meetup is the 4th Monday of every month.
Yep.
Done.
Yeah.
Done. Easy.
And what you did, Steve, too, is you divested. You actually had 2 meetups a month that you were doing, and then you split that off and gave your advanced or your dev meetup over to Brandon and Jeff. First Pixel Jar, now a crowd favorite, and now you only have 1, right?
So some of the feedback we were getting was that our meetup was becoming too developer-y, so we split it into 2 meetups. So we have the 4th Monday of the month as a general meetup, 2nd Monday of the month is developer meetup, and that's now being run by Brandon and Jeff, and we have another meetup, which is the design meetup, which meets the 1st Monday of the month.
Wait, Steve is rivaling Natalie on meetups now.
No, I don't go to those. I've delegated.
Yeah, he goes to 1 a month basically and hosts 1 a month. He's like, you know, an entrepreneur that has created all of these children, and he doesn't have to do anything. They mow the lawn and they, like, you know. I think I'm mixing metaphors there, but that's okay.
Speaking of consistency, I found it always great too to always plan ahead so that at the end of your last meetup, always announce when it's going to be your next meetup, because a lot of people don't pay attention to meetups, and then they check meetup like the night before or something like that, and it's
or the day after.
Or the day after.
So I have. It's a good point. Wait, hang on. That's a good point.
Okay,
I manage 2 pages. I manage 2 pages for my meetup. I manage my meetup page, and I manage a Facebook group. And what I'll do is I'll pre-put in the dates for about 6 months for the meetup. So it's just set. So they get the announcements. They know when those meetups.
Yeah, because one day all of a sudden you just get like 6 emails from Steve in a row that tells you when all of them.
And then I send out a follow-up apology.
I will say that I've noticed that whether I send up the meeting notes in advance by, say, 3.5 weeks or by 3.5 days, we still see a 50% ratio of the people who attend versus the people who say they will attend.
Yes.
So
it's like a Facebook event. Everyone's like, sure, yeah, support.
And almost and regardless of whether it's 3 days notice or 30 days notice, we almost always get about 35 to 40 people and never much more, right? I mean, like it just kind of, it's that 25 to 35 space where they just kind of sit there and say, this, you know, that's the size of their group, and so we do it. We tried it like, you know, a whole month in advance. We tried it 3 days in advance, and nothing changed, right? You're kind of like,
our size didn't change, but the people that came were
it
much
did.
more.
That was exactly it. It was different people, but it was still.
Which I'd rather
I have a meetup
than more not engaged.
I have a meetup etiquette question, both for the organizers and for attendees. Do you go through Meetup the next day and click the "It was good to see you" button?
Absolutely.
Yes.
It was good to see you. It's good to see you. Good to see you.
It's their like button.
Yeah. Good to see you.
I'm not going to comment on that.
Come on, comment on that.
David.
Yes,
I want to know. This is a real question. Is it annoying or is it, you know, relationship building? I don't know.
I don't think it's annoying.
I don't think it's annoying.
Relationship building.
I think it would be relationship building if you could put a personal message in there, but you can't. So
good to see you, Natalie.
Natalie, good to see you.
Good to see you. Good to see you guys.
That was personalized. That was personalized for you. Yeah.
And with all of that, we're going to end the show.
What?
We've been seeing all of you as well.
We've got another half an hour of stuff to talk about.
That's it, man. So, we'll come back around to this topic yet again, just to kind of fine-tune that a little bit. So thank you very much for all of you being on the show today. Make sure you go over to the website and check out the show notes. Click on all the links for all these folks that are taking the last 30 minutes or even hour time to go through and be able to set it up.
Design meetup tonight in Orange County.
Probably is.
East, in the Middle East, East.
So make sure you go to the website, click the subscribe button. If you're watching us on YouTube, hit the like button, and that's about it. Talk to you later. Bye-bye.
Conserve water.
Bye. Bye, everyone.